Sent cross. Yeah! Thank you! It's a sort of dream! Dream fun! Live it up, blue boy! Live it up!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Noisy Neighbors. I'm your host, Mark Mulf. Tonight, I've got a guest with me from the other great American Manchester City podcast. It's my mate, John Ashley from the Main Road Ramble.
Right,
How we doing?
I'm all right, mate. How you doing, Mulf?
Good, really good. Sort of first video of the season. Very happy to have you as a guest tonight, mate. The Premier League is in full swing.
It is.
What a start. I think the games have averaged over 3 goals a game so far.
Yeah, and just like save a couple, home victories as well. The crowds being back in stadiums, I think, really buoying the home teams for a lot of those games. But yeah, really, in some ways, expected results today, but some really interesting results potentially as far as the season goes as well.
So we're pre-gaming, an American tradition. So according to our American tradition, let's share a good old cup of tea, shall we?
Oh, yeah, got my brew.
Nice one.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
I'm a lot closer to Boston than you are, so I have to do this a little bit on the down low. Might get thrown in the Charles otherwise.
So this video is brought to you by our new merch shop. We got a new logo in that. Noisy Neighbors.
Love
Me and Joey's mugs on a mug. 2 mugs on a mug. This is available in the shop. You can buy all sorts of stuff: t-shirts, massive pillows, notebooks. Got notebooks here.
I'm really amazed that you've opened up your Halloween store so early with those pillows.
We've got all sorts in there, so check that out. I'll drop a link in the video later on for that. But yeah, no, excited for the season, mate. What I want to do tonight with you is pre-game. Just talk about what's happened so far today. Talk about the big match against Spurs tomorrow, City's opener. Let's see what the folks are saying in the chat. Appreciate you all joining in with us. This is something we want to do throughout the season. We want to do a bit of at least a once a week video, maybe ahead of a game, just after a game. Some of them will be call-in shows. Some of them will be guests like tonight, me and John doing it. So yeah, excited to get it all going. We put a podcast out. The season preview podcast is already out. And I believe Main Road Rambles is out as well. At least somebody did one.
Yeah, we did one as well. I'm on probation for my prediction in that particular podcast, but we won't speak about that tonight.
Okay, maybe we'll do that at the end. Maybe not. Well, I predicted City to go back to back.
I did not.
And my host Joey predicted Chelsea were going to squeak it out unless City sign Harry Kane, and then he's not really sure.
Yeah, so, my prediction was like as we are right now. So that's the only caveat that I'm working with right now.
Nice one. Lots of great stuff in the chat already. Hello to everybody. We got comments already about the season. Only after one match. Anyways, let's talk about the games today, mate. Or actually, let's start with yesterday. Brentford, newcomers to the Premier League, beat Arsenal 2-0. What's your reaction, mate?
I think when Arsenal looked at that fixture list, a home and away tie at a newly promoted team who have never played in the league before, having not played in front of fans for over a year, in terms of a full house, I think that they must have been dreading that from the start. And then with this mysterious illness that both Aubameyang and Lacazette had, I think the writing was on the wall about an hour and a half before kickoff when they announced that. And I mean, Brentford that they rode the moment for sure, but they were well worth that victory as well. Yeah. Arsenal were terrible, but credit to Brentford where it's due, mate. What did you think?
No, same, mate. I tell you what, though, a player to watch out for is that Smith Rowe, that number 10 for Arsenal. Really lively, mate. I like the look of him, but it's like same old Arsenal, isn't it? Chris Hernandez has commented Arsenal losing by 2 puts Arteta on the hot seat. Yeah, I mean to Brentford probably, and I think the next 2 games are City and Chelsea.
Yeah.
So rough start for the Gunners. Yeah. Next match was this morning. It was the early one. It was the hated Manchester United against, I suppose, the equally hated Leeds, or where
Equally
the
a bit
Leeds
strong, more.
where do they rank? Where do Leeds rank on your shit list?
I don't know. It's one of those things that just the way that, you know, I'm 33, and City and Leeds missed each other for a lot of the last kind of almost 20 years now, and you know, I think that Leeds should be a team that's in the Premier League, and but at the same time, yeah, you know, that we didn't beat them last season, and so there's a little bit of recent animosity or at least chagrin there, but there's always that Lancashire Yorkshire kind of War of the Roses stuff that goes back forever and a day. So yeah, we don't want Leeds to win, but I still would have rather Leeds won today than United just batter them like they did.
You're a bit younger than me, mate. So I do remember Leeds, and I was actually ball boy at City at Main Road once, well twice, but once was against Leeds, and I literally feared for my life.
Yeah.
They put me behind the goal. I was getting balls that went out behind the goal, and literally the Leeds fans were right behind me, and we lost 2-0. And for both goals, all the Leeds fans came charging down, climbing the what do you call the barbed wire fences?
Yeah.
They didn't care, and I was probably 10 years old, and I hid behind the nearest policeman. It's actually on YouTube. You can find it.
We've finally discovered the reason why Morv moved to America, just to escape the Leeds fans, get as far away as possible.
Yeah, they're mad. They were mad then, and apparently they're still quite mad. Okay, United today looked pretty dangerous, mate.
They did the same to Leeds last year, though. You know, they were like 2-0 up in 20 seconds last year, and I think that, you know, there's a couple of seasons ago as well when United beat Chelsea 4-0 on the opening day, and everyone was like, "Oh, title challenge." I do think that they have a much more settled squad this time. Marcus Rashford's going to be kind of looking over his shoulder after Paul Pogba's performance on the left wing today, especially, you know, he's already beaten his assists for last season in one game, which is insane.
Yeah, stop the presses. It's probably only the second decent performance I've seen from Pogba in a United shirt. Now I say seen, like with my own eyes. Apparently there are other ones, but I believe you can count them on one hand. But yeah, no, he was immense today. Some of the balls he was playing were ridiculous. But for me, it was all about just being clinical. You know, they took almost all their chances. That I think you're right in that Leeds maybe are set up perfectly for United. And, you know, I think everybody's getting hyped up about that result today and how United look. But I think for a long time, there's been a little bit of a lack of respect for them. Maybe since Fergie left, and teams turn up and try to play against them. And I think they might be getting to the point where United are just good enough to warrant maybe a low block here or there.
Yeah,
and it's then when I think they might run into some trouble. So
yeah, I do hope to see more teams play a low block against them. The reason I'm on probation from Main Road Ramble, I'll go ahead and say it, is that I had United eking out City. This is, you know, without Harry Kane for second spot. So I think Chelsea will win it. I'm with Joey on that. I think their squad is ridiculous, but I think this is a real transition season for City in a lot of ways. And I think the number of England players that City have as well, like they basically have no rest. And we went we played every game possible but one last season, so we'll get to it. But my expectations for this season are not especially high, and I think United are probably the most settled that they've been as a squad, not as a club with all the Glazer stuff they got going on. Haven't heard much about that though today, weirdly. But as a squad, I think they're very, very settled. There's still Pogba to PSG rumors happening somehow, but I can see United, so long as they don't get distracted by a difficult Champions League group. If they get a good Champions League draw, then, which is very possible if you look at the teams and the pots around them, then I think that they'll do well in the league this season, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, let's just breeze right past them.
Yeah.
Burnley and Brighton, mate. Brighton won 2-1.
Comeback.
Yeah. They went 1-0 down, came back, won it 2-1. Don't need to spend too much time on that, but
other than Brighton would have lost that game last season, absolutely. So it's good to see that Brighton are kind of scoring more. Although not a huge fan of the Brighton fans after the game at the end of last season, but Burnley, if Burnley manage to stay up again this season, I think this is the strongest league that we've had in a while.
Yeah,
if Burnley manage to stay up, it'll be probably Sean Dyche's greatest achievement at this point.
Yeah, good shout. Remind me about Brighton at the end of the season. Who were they booing? They were booing somebody.
Oh, basically, it was their only game that they had last season with fans in. It was their last home game, and Cancelo got sent off basically because the crowd kind of pressured the referee into it a little bit, and the referee was still acclimatizing to these people yelling at him from the sidelines, which he hadn't seen for a year. And it was Sam Matterface, I think, was commentating in the UK, and he tweeted afterwards about he's never seen like a worse refereeing performance, like overall. Just a number of fouls that he just wasn't giving for City, and then everything he was giving to Brighton. And so and Brighton fans were loving it, and it was a comeback victory for them as well. So maybe that was the catalyst. Maybe again, City helping Brighton turn that corner.
Yeah, perhaps, mate. Perhaps. If you're just tuning in, it's Noisy Neighbours. I'm Mark Mulv. I'm with John Ashley. Some sort of cross between Harry Maguire and Colin Jost.
It's fair.
Yeah. We've got United fans in the chat, so welcome to those lads. Matthew wants to block him immediately, so that's fair.
Congrats, by the way, Matthew.
Oh yeah, congratulations, Matthew. He's having a baby. To Matt and Liz, well in. Once again, Lewis Watts. We started off the season great with an absolute thrashing against Leeds, and Fernandes and Pogba and De Gea were quality. Wow.
Blue moons do happen now and again. We know all about it.
Best of luck to you guys. I suppose. Thanks, Lewis. All right. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea. A lot of people's pick for the title this year. They're very, very deep. They've just added Romelu Lukaku. Neither him nor, I believe, Kante played today, yet they still managed to thrash Crystal Palace 3-0. Patrick Vieira's first game in charge, mate. Did you see the highlights of this?
I haven't seen much of it. I've seen Trevor Chalobah's goal, which was an absolute peach. Clearly, that goal meant a lot to him as well. So it's annoying because for the most part, other than maybe Rudiger aside, the Chelsea team is quite likable in a lot of ways. Like Werner, like for example, like I felt so bad for that guy for the majority of last season. The amount of chances he just kept missing, you just kind of felt a bit sorry for him. But I mean, I love Lukaku as a forward. I think he's got everything, and if he can do for Chelsea what he did for Inter and what he's done for Belgium, then the top four are in trouble, I think. And
agreed.
97 million was it? I don't think enough is being made of the fact that Chelsea didn't, they sold him for 38 million and then bought him back for 97 million. But I think it's money well spent.
Yeah. Well, they're not groundbreaking in that respect, are they? Because once United did it with Pogba, bought back their academy product for 90 odd million. Yeah. I mean, anybody doing that afterwards is, they're not going to get cold on it, are they?
It's weird that formation for Chelsea just constantly works as well. That three at the back is just so. It doesn't really seem to work for any other team in the league, but Chelsea, you wouldn't, if they played four at the back, you'd think you'd get at them, but the three just really works with those wing backs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As a tactician, Tuchel's he's got it down. Little Tommy Tuchel. All right. So Chelsea, yeah. Everton have beaten Southampton 3-1. The Rafa Benitez era is underway. That is either going to be joyous or absolute disaster for Everton fans, as they will either be ridiculed or they'll get to ridicule their city mates Liverpool over the course of the season.
It's weird because Everton you feel like they've gone backward since this time last season when they had Ancelotti in charge. They had an opening day win at Spurs last season. Calvert-Lewin looked really good. James Rodriguez had a fantastic start.
Yeah, they were hot. Yeah.
But this time around, you feel like they're just that crisis waiting to happen. They had some turmoil for sure over the summer, and I think there's potentially more coming. I hope I'm wrong, but I think Rafa might be the first manager sacked this season, if not him or Arteta. Just because they had a good win today, but Southampton potentially relegation candidates because of the players they've lost at this point. So I don't know.
Leicester and Wolves, mate. Leicester squeak one out. This was a pretty good game, pretty open. Vardy is the difference. Wolves missing a lot of chances. Joey had Leicester finishing fourth. What are you saying to that?
I think if they are, well, it depends where they are in Europe at that point of the season again, because the Europa League is just exhausting in terms of the way that it affects the schedule. And had they made Champions League, I feel like they actually might have had a better chance at getting top four in the Premier League. But because they missed out on the last game of the season and just with the other teams that are up there, I can't see it myself. But I mean, Chelsea looks strong, United looks strong, Liverpool looks strong, City will be there or thereabouts. And so I just can't see any room for Leicester. I think this is going to be, the big games are really going to be big games. The real 6-pointers this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had him finishing just outside the top four. Quite like Leicester, just as an organization.
Their model in terms of their recruitment has been outstanding, and just being able to pick guys out of the French league and be like, he's going to be a superstar, and they have been. Has been pretty incredible. So I hope they finish top four. Obviously not at the expense of City, but I hope they finish top four. But I just can't see it.
Oh dear, Aston Villa have taken a massive L against Watford, the Hornets.
Yeah. I was kind of mixed emotions about this one because I had 3 Villa players in my fantasy team. Ings, bailed me out a little bit with a 98th minute penalty, but other than that, it was pretty poor showing from Villa, especially first half. Watford were fantastic in the first half, and Sarr in particular was especially good. Really, really dangerous.
Switching gears for just a minute, mate. It's our first exposure to the Premier League this season, and I don't know whether this is something you track over the summer on Twitter, but everybody likes a good chat about kits.
Mm-hmm.
What kits did you like today?
I know Crystal Palace played in their away kit. I really like their home kit this year. I like they've gone diagonal stripes, which is a bit different. Villa's kits are nice. I'm not gonna. No, not
I'm
for you.
out on that one. No, didn't like them.
There aren't that many great kits this year, to be honest. What was your favorite?
Drop your favorite kits you've seen so far in the chat, if you don't mind. I'll
Leicester
give you
home.
mine. Yeah. Joey's coming with Leicester home kit. Nice one. Let's see. So I'll tell you mine. It's for a weird reason, but I love Hummel.
Okay.
Right, as a brand, I just think those chevron things on the arms are brilliant, and it's a bit of something to do with my best mate growing up was a Tottenham fan.
Okay.
And he always used to be wearing the kits. Now my dad wouldn't let him in our house if he was wearing one, and likewise, I wasn't allowed in his house with my City kit on. But yeah, I was always jealous how nice their kits was. This would have been in the early 80s. And they were sponsored, or their maker was Hummel. And that always looked good. And then when it's sort of making a resurgence, I think Everton's got them. Somebody else has got them as well. But I'm going to go for Everton home kit as my favorite kit of the season. I thought it was great last season. Last season's was better than this season's, but it's still good. Okay, Sergio 9320 hates Hummel. Okay. Chris Hernandez is having the Leicester kit. Nice one. Alex, Leicester home is nice. He likes the the Leeds kit is nice. It's Adidas, I believe.
Yeah, I think it
is. Adidas is probably overall. I think Adidas probably makes the best kit.
They're just a bit too kind of. I can't think of the phrase for it, but they're just all very similar.
It's like a template.
The template, that's the phrase I'm looking for. Yeah, a bit too templatey for me. Puma's a bit the same, I guess, as well. I mean, the City away kit is pretty special this season. I just hope they back out of that third kit. If it's what we've seen, and we're pretty sure it is, then.
Okay, so I have a question about that. Typically, when we play Spurs away, we wear a dark kit. So what are we wearing tomorrow?
I think we're just wearing because you've got sky blue shorts. I think we're just wearing all blue tomorrow. Okay. They have dark shorts, so I can't
see that navy monstrosity coming out tomorrow. Then
no, because they always release it. They always announce the kit before they play in it for the first time. At least I think they do. So yeah, I can't see it coming out. It's the cup third kit, I think, as well. I think they always do it so that they'll limit the amount of times they have to play in the third kit if it's not as good as the others. Although they got 100% record in the third kit last year. So
yeah, true. That Paisley one.
Yeah, I'm still not sure about. I can't decide if it's Paisley or some kind of lab experiment gone wrong.
Yeah, probably a poor year to bring out a petri dish kit, during a pandemic. Okay, this guy is not having the third kit. Looks like a t-shirt. Hoops collector.
I mean, it is a t-shirt. It's just they're all t-shirts, but
that's an insult to t-shirts. Okay. Oh dear, this is great. I'm loving the chat. The chat's brilliant. Let's see. Just while I'm in the chat, let's look at some more. Are we in podcast? Yes, I suppose this is more of a video, environment. But yeah, thank you, Brent. Let's see. Michelle thinks the third kit's coming out around the 21st. Okay. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see the response if that thing is what it looks to be. You know what annoys me, John, is that these kits we've come out with this year, they're so close to being perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just my personal opinion, the home kit is all right. It looks like a bit of a snide. Just the color of it, the way it shines in some of the pictures and that. Look, now when they're playing on the pitch, it looks phenomenal. In some of the pictures, some of the graphics they've done, it looks a bit snide.
The
And
blue
the one-
shorts, it just looks a bit too much like pajamas to me.
And I'm not having the white stripe down the side, especially as a fat bloke. You can't have a thick white stripe down the side. It just doesn't.
I mean,
doesn't work.
it's based off of this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's based off of this one, and I'm not really seeing it. The blue is different, and I like the 9320 stuff. I think it's taking it a bit too far in some ways, but
yes, mate. Anyway,
expensive Coventry.
The dark blue one, the navy blue one, the rumored one. If you just replace the Man City with a crest next to the Puma sign, brilliant.
Yeah,
looks brilliant. So yeah, they're just so close to being great, but that one thing just makes them a bit naff. Okay, let's move this forward, shall we? We got one game left that happened today. That was the Scousers, the Red Scousers beating Norwich 3-0 pretty comfortably. They look, well, Norwich aren't that great, let's be fair, but Liverpool look good. So what do you reckon to Liverpool's chances this season?
I think it depends on fitness. They've added a couple of players to their squad. I think Konate is a good addition at centre half. But you know, with Van Dijk and Gomez, I think they're just it's kind of a wild card coming back from two serious injuries like that. They may be able to play another full season; they'll be absolutely fine. But if City's, Ben Mendy, for example, if his kind of comeback is anything to go by, there'll be false starts, there'll be minor setbacks, all that kind of stuff. So Liverpool are a team that are all about momentum. They're all about energy, and if they can keep that up, and if definitely the Anfield factor is a thing as well. But they would do very well to replicate 2019-20, I would say, at this point. I just think there are other teams that are too strong and are in much better positions than they were in 2019-20. City were the closest challengers by a significant way in distance in 2019-20. And so the relative strength of other teams this year, I think, is going to make for a much closer contest.
Who's in the title race, do you think? Are Liverpool in it this season?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think you can write them off with the talent that they have. Like United, they tend to be clinical. And if in their title winning season, they just seem to have their goals just seem to live a charmed life as well. There would be every single week they'd win by an odd goal so many times, and with 3 minutes to go, the opponent would miss a sitter, and so
or their keeper would throw it in the back of their own net.
Exactly, or there'd be a dodgy penalty or something like that. And so with fans back, the latter is definitely possible, and you just have to see. I think if they can get a good run of games together going at the start of the season, then I think that momentum will build, and they'll be there or thereabouts throughout the season. But 3 or 4 weeks into last season with a fit Van Dijk, they lost 7-2 at Villa. So if that happens again, then they might even drop out of top 4. Who knows?
Okay, so we talked a lot about the league chase, the chase for the title. But in a one-off match, which Premier League team do you fear City playing the most? Who's our kryptonite, or who don't you want to face in a one game?
So at the moment, United really have our number. They've got Leeds' number as well. They seem to really know how to play against teams that will try and attack them, and they're excellent at that counter. And so I don't especially fear playing them because I know that I'm confident that we can beat them. But if they execute their game, they have a game plan and the players to execute that game plan very, very well. And so that's the aspect that would concern me, is then doing that again and Pep trying something crazy to try and counteract it.
Mm-hmm. So John's gone for United as his most feared team in a one-off match. Drop in the chat who you think it is. Twit11ig, Twittig. I don't know what he's going with that username, but he's gone for Chelsea. That's this bloke here, or this lady. I'm not sure.
Wigan, Joe.
Joe's gone for Wigan, which is
Fair.
Wow. Good shout, Wigan. I was thinking it was going to be Liverpool, but you might have convinced me with United.
Sergio 9320 says City win the important derbies. I mean, yes, we won in the Carabao.
Yeah.
But the last three in the league is a draw and 2 United wins. And it's were they important? I think the one at Old Trafford last November was, and I think the one that a lot of people point to the 2-0 defeat just before lockdown happened in 2020 as Liverpool's kind of the day City's title ambitions died. So yeah.
Let's switch gears one last time. Again, if you're just joining us, this is Noisy Neighbours. I'm Mark Morv, your host tonight. I've got my mate John Ashley from Main Road Ramble. We're talking about the start of the season. Obviously, we are pre-gaming once again. Cheers, mate. We're both having cups of tea.
I finished mine, actually.
Is the American tradition. We're going to switch gears for the last time and talk about Manchester City for a bit. So we lost the Community Shield. What I'm coming to find out is a lot of people didn't even watch it, which is I found quite weird.
That is strange.
Yeah. Some top blues didn't watch it. Anyways,
it's one thing not going. I get that.
Yeah.
Like if but like not watching. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah. Weird. But yeah, the season starts tomorrow at White Hart Lane. Is it still called that?
Is it the new White Hart? I don't know.
The new White Hart Lane.
They're trying to brand it. I know that much. Not having much success.
Okay. Yeah. Who wants to sponsor them?
Any bottled water companies, maybe?
Oh dear. Patrick Holly said there was no broadcast in Down Under, so unlucky. Yeah, you can get an unlucky.
Unlucky.
And by the way, also in the chat, my co-host
Joy McCune, host of Nosy Neighbor Man City.
there he is. 3 Point Lane, says Andrew Babusic. Yeah, let's hope so.
We haven't scored a goal at this new stadium.
Yeah. So today was one. I don't know if you'd call it a good day for the Flappers or a bad day for the Flappers. Probably a bad day, in that all of our title rivals won quite convincingly. They're bagging left and right, clinical as you like, and then Erling Haaland popped off in the Bundesliga. I think 2 goals, 3 assists, something like that. So on the what they say, on the precipice of potentially signing a striker, the Haaland fanboys are flapping massively as we're about to spunk 100+ million on Harry Kane. It looks like. Speaking of Harry Kane, are we going to see him tomorrow?
Yeah, he's going to score a hat-trick against us, and we're going to lose the league by a point.
Okay. Are you in the flapping camp, or are you just being sarcastic?
I think. I mean, I don't think they're mutually exclusive necessarily. I think it's just completely typical City for that to happen. That we kind of miss out because the player that we became our record signing kind of scored against us in the first game of the season. Yeah, that sounds very City to me.
Let's talk about who City might put out tomorrow. Who's Pep going to start with? We've got some guys who are just coming back into training. Some guys that are like, always seem to be fit. Kyle Walker's, your Raheem Sterling's, who could potentially just slot right back in. Other players, maybe you bed them in a bit more. You've got a new signing in Jack Grealish. You've got a couple of known injuries in Phil Foden, who's going to be out for probably another month, and Kevin De Bruyne, who's iffy at best.
Probably on the bench tomorrow, I imagine.
Yeah, let's hope so. So talk me through it, mate.
For me, the most interesting decision is going to be centre back. Ruben Diaz is going to be one of the two without a doubt. But is it going to be Nathan Ake, who played every preseason game, scored, but then obviously made the error that led to the penalty that won less of the game in the Community Shield? If we're talking Rodri in central defensive midfield, then you've got to talk about Laporte at centre half as well. I think it's too early for a lot of the English lads. Stones didn't play any of preseason. Grealish played 20 minutes, but I think Grealish will start tomorrow. I'd be surprised if he didn't. So keepers, I think, are just different. I think it's going to be Edison in goal. Cancelo, Diaz, Laporte, Mendy. I think it might have been Zinchenko had his missus not had a baby, and he didn't get any preseason, or he got like 20 minutes preseason because of that. Didn't feature last week at all.
A Zinchenko kit behind you, by the way.
It is a Zinchenko kit behind me.
Love it. Nice one.
A Ukraine Zinchenko kit that I picked up recently. So then Fernandinho wasn't great in the Community Shield. He was misplacing a lot of passes. So I think it's going to be Rodri, and then Gundogan. That third midfielder is who's that going to be? Is it going to be Grealish in a deeper role than he's going to be for most of the season? And then based on the attack, I think you struck the nail on the head. Sterling, I think, can come back in at any point and just play 90 minutes and be fine. So I would not be surprised to see him start. Similarly, Jesus, I think, might get the start as well. And Mahrez has been electric preseason. So he's like a first name on the team sheet for me tomorrow. So that's what Mahrez. I think he'll go with.
That's that Riyad Mahrez.
Mm-hmm.
Good shouts, mate. Somebody in the chat suggested that Laporte might be in isolation.
Oh,
but I have seen him in some of the training pictures.
Yeah, I saw him behind Pep the other day.
Yeah, looking like he's part of the squad. So who knows? Okay, we've got some shouts for not liking Benjamin Mendy.
Some Mendy hate.
Interesting.
I think the thing about Mendy though, Sergio again. I seem to be just disagreeing constantly with Sergio today. Is that I can't recall him having a full preseason since his first season at City, 2017-18. And so for one reason or another, I think him having a preseason without setbacks around the rest of the squad, betting in this transition, this could be a big season for Ben Mendy. I think it's his last chance saloon for sure. But you never know. You never know.
Yeah, no, I'm very hopeful about Mendy. Rumors is he's feeling no pain in his knee. He did have some pain last season when he was, he had some good games, had some poor games. It's going to be all about his decision making, I think. Pep is looking to play the players that make the least mistakes, in my opinion.
Yep.
That's why I think Nathan Ake could be in trouble if he keeps being the last man making last-ditch tackles, giving away penalties. I think that's Laporte while Laporte found himself out of the side last season. So he's going for the least mistakes. He wants the most control over the game. So the players who keep the ball and make the least mistakes are going to play. And I think that's why Zinchenko, is probably first choice left back. While he's not quite as tidy as some of the other players on the pitch, he's certainly a bit more tidy than Mendy, and makes better decisions. So, but I am hopeful that Mendy can be, equally as selectable as Zinchenko throughout the season. So yeah,
it's weird that for me, Mendy is better going forward, but Zinchenko has become better defensively, whereas they were bought for the opposite reasons, and just how that's kind of come about as well.
I think depending on who we play against, Zinchenko can be better going forward than Mendy. But Mendy certainly has that wicked Kolarov like cross.
It's his positioning as well. Mendy's
yeah.
going to get to the byline and put one in from there. Zinchenko tends to sit a lot deeper and be a bit more involved. Kind of maybe the pass before the assist. Brian makes a good point about Ferran Torres. I don't know why. I always forget about. I love him as a player.
Yeah.
But I keep forgetting that he plays for City. It's bad. We have so many wingers.
Well, I think the same can be said for Jesus, because I've listened to other City podcasts this week and they've picked their starting 11 like we're doing now. There is no mention of Jesus whatsoever, and I just found that baffling because I think he'll start tomorrow. So we'll see. We'll see. There are a couple players who are reportedly disgruntled with being at City for a couple of reasons. I think one is playing time, and I think that's probably Jesus, probably Laporte, and then the other one is Bernardo Silva, who reportedly just wants to get out of England. So we could be looking at some outgoings before the end of the season. I think Bernardo's likely to leave, and the other two are likely to stay. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I've seen this week that Laporte wants to leave, but City aren't going to let him leave. I don't think there is a buyer in the market who would pay the price that we want for him right now.
Yeah, what would you value him at?
I mean, he is. It's kind of it's a reverse Harry Kane in some ways, in that Harry Kane's value to Spurs is more than it is to anyone who would maybe looking to buy him at this point. And I think from Laporte's perspective, his value to the team that's going to buy him is potentially more than his value to City. There's not much in it, but I think Laporte is a fantastic centre-back. He's left-footed, which is very not super unusual, but it's definitely a strength in a lot of teams. People saying 45, 60, 65, and that's the point, because in this market, that's the price he would probably go for, and I think that's why City aren't going to sell. Because unless you get Spurs would be one of the places that I would say he would fit in really well in terms of their need, but he doesn't want to go there because he doesn't want to play UEFA Conference League football. Well, I mean,
no, it's true. It's true.
Pau Torres rejected a move this week for that very reason. And so, I can't, without the likes of, the natural thing would be for him to go back to Spain, but none of the Spanish teams have any money. So, he's going to stay. Jesus, unless he is part of the Kane deal, can't see him leaving either. And I hope for Bernardo's sake that he gets his move. I think if he stays, he'll be very professional and still give his all. But I think he would suit Atletico Madrid down to the ground. That's the biggest rumor.
Absolutely.
I think Simeone, he's exactly the kind of player that Simeone likes, and so and he's been a fantastic servant for City. But I just don't think. I think Pep just doesn't see him as maybe incisive enough, and I think that's potentially the reason why he's happy to see Bernardo go and Grealish is maybe the Bernardo replacement in that respect.
Yeah, agree with that. Yeah, I think he's looking to get more production out of Grealish than he would out of Bernardo. Bernardo, the last couple seasons. Bernardo, 18, 19.
Yeah.
Ballon d'Or. Ballon
Mhm.
d'Or. He probably should have won the Ballon d'Or that year. He won almost everything there was to win, except for the Champions League. Now,
Yeah.
Ballon d'Or is a very Champions League driven,
Yeah.
vote. But yeah, he was fantastic. But yeah, I'm okay. I love Bernardo, but I'm okay with Grealish as the replacement, as you described. I'm really excited about Grealish.
I think he occupies opponents more than Bernardo in recent days. Yeah, I saw that. More than Bernardo last season certainly did, in terms of and how that creates space for other players. Because if you've got three players trying to stop Grealish, that means that Sterling's in space, or De Bruyne's in space, or Foden's in space, and so the options that gives you, and importantly, Grealish has the ability to thread that needle and find the killer pass in that situation, because that's all he did for Villa, or all he kind of could do for Villa.
Would it upset you if City had to, take a cut price on Bernardo? You know what I mean? Because just the sheer number of players, if Kane comes in, is, I mean, in the front three, you've got Jesus, Bernardo, Mahrez, Foden, Grealish, Torres. Yeah.
It depends what a cut price is. I think we picked him up for a cut price.
Yeah, true.
Initially, that was the most secret City transfer in recent memory. It just kind of happened. You switched on the TV one day and it was Bernardo had signed. So, and it was what, around 50 million.
Yeah.
And so I think, again, in this current market, if you're saying somewhere between 50 and 65 for Laporte, Bernardo is if you're not selling into another Premier League team, which I think ups his value, as we saw with Grealish and with Kane as well, I think you are probably looking either around the price we paid for him or slightly less, potentially closer to 40. I don't know. It would be frustrating, but at the same time, I would understand, and I think it's better to have. Same with Sane. It's better to have players who want to be here and playing, and not have the influence of players who are disgruntled. It's better to have gruntled than disgruntled players.
Gruntled.
What's the opposite of disgruntled? I mean,
great point. All right, mate. So I could talk to you all night about this, but let's start wrapping this up. What's your confidence tomorrow? You're not confident about the season. I've got those vibes off you already, but tomorrow.
I don't know. I think City haven't started a season at home since Barack Obama was president, and the last time City did start a season at home, Nolito was in the starting lineup, which tells you how long ago it was. So I think just the combination of the potential vitriol that Spurs fans are going to have for the City team, that being a new experience, or an unusual experience, and City's preseason not being great. I don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'd probably see a draw, but it might even be a 0-0, something like that.
Oh wow, the first 0-0 of the weekend.
Probably.
Oh dear.
But I don't know. It's just City not scoring at this stadium. There's some kind of hoodoo there. It's kind of like it's the new Anfield.
Wow. Okay, well, drop your predictions in the chat, folks. Let's get some more positivity, shall we? Mr. Ashley, dear, oh dear, mate.
I mean, I'm just either very kind of typical City or pessimistic, whatever you want to call me. But last week against Leicester, I was a bit concerned about the lack of attacking threat, and with our best attackers still to really either get used to playing in this lineup or not even back in the squad. It's there's no preseason. Yeah.
We got Hunter, Hoops Collector says it's 2-0 to City. Come on, loving that. Bring back Nolito, says Andrew. Alex has gone for 3-1 to City. Chris Hernandez has gone for 0-0. Come on, Chris. Spurs, mate. Without Harry Kane, probably. Again, Hoops Collector's gone for Raz, Mahrez, Torres up top. That is tasty. Grealish and Gundogan behind. That is also nice. Wow, yeah, we are stacked up front. Unbelievable. I'm going to go with 2-0 to the Mighty Blues. Mahrez and Grealish. And yeah, we're gonna stay with the pack. The flappers will stop flapping. We will stay with the pack, and yeah, bring it on, bring it on. I'm well hyped. Where are you gonna watch this tomorrow? You gonna be at home?
I'm gonna be at home. I with my daughter. So if who's 2, so I'll be I'll have one eye on her and one eye on the game. So hopefully I'll be able to pay attention as much as I can.
Yeah, nice one, nice one. Unless you've got a daughter at home, of course, get to the pub. Join up with your local supporters club. We're big fans of the supporters clubs here. Get out to their pubs. Find them on Twitter. If you're looking for one in your area, send us a tweet, right? At Noisy Pod, and we'll help connect you with other fans in your area. Yeah, thanks again for listening to us tonight. I've been Mark Molve off Noisy Neighbours. He's John Ashley off Main Road Ramble. Where can they find you, mate?
They can find us on Twitter, anywhere that you get your podcasts. We are on YouTube as well. We're hopefully going to do a bit more of that this season. But yeah, anywhere you get your podcasts and Twitter, that's where you'll find us mainly. I don't get on the podcast much these days, but I do have a lot of fun with the Twitter and Photoshop. So
yes, you do.
Follow us on there.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again, everybody. Catch us at Noisy Pod on Twitter. If you don't mind, if you've enjoyed this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification, all of that YouTube bollocks, so that we can stay in touch. Look out for another podcast from me and Joey next week. And until then, up the Blues and ta-ra.
Ta-ra.